It's our first ever GM Tree Month, so thank you everyone for participating, using the hashtag, sharing your photos. We're in week 3, which is Love Parks, and next week we also have hashtag Tree Time, so look out for that on our social media channels. Today we have Claire Morris from Wild Awake Mindfulness, and Claire actually has quite strong links to City of Trees, so I'll let you talk about that in a moment. But we're so pleased that you can make it this morning and lead us through this meditation session. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Carly. Yeah, so as Carly said, I do have strong links with City of Trees. So I used to work there when it was Red Rose Forest, actually, about 6 years ago. So yeah, so I have a really strong heart connection with the organisation and all the work, the amazing work that happens as well. So yeah, it's a real privilege to be part of this Greater Manchester Tree Month, and in particular Love Parks as well, because I think the Love Parks Week for me really strikes a chord, because a lot of the work that I do is in our amazing parks in Greater Manchester. So I run an organisation called Wild Awake Mindfulness. So the clue, I guess, really is in the title, that it's about bringing people into wild spaces and engaging in mindfulness while we're in those spaces. So yeah, I would have been at Highfield Country Park in South Manchester, which some of you might be familiar with. However, the rain, the weather forecast didn't look great. It's 90% chance of rain. So what happens is when you're broadcasting outside in rain over Zoom is that actually the sound quality isn't great. So you probably just hear the rain rather than me. So I am at home. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're at home or if you're outside in nature. Wherever you are, welcome anyway. So yeah, as Carly said, this is a mindfulness in nature session. So so why mindfulness in nature? Well, I think for me, what happens is that actually when we engage in nature, we come into a deeper sense of what it is to be human. We come into a deeper sense of our own experience, because what happens when we're in nature, it kind of creates a bigger container within which to hold our experience. And when we're in nature, there's this sense of really being soothed and our heart opens up to bigger possibilities, I suppose, actually. And there's a quote by John Muir, which I absolutely love. So when I think about what is it about mindfulness in nature, I always come to this quote. So John Muir was an American pioneer conservationist, and he founded the national parks in America. And he says, I only went out for a walk and finally concluded to stay out till sundown. For going out, I found, was really going in. So for going out, I found, was really going in. So that's exactly what we're going to be exploring in this session. What is it like to have this sense of going out in nature, even if we're at home, and go inwards as well into, a deeper sense of connection. So we are going to be doing a couple of meditations with a theme around how can we be more mindful in nature. So probably like most of us, we spent a lot of time in nature in lockdown, because actually at the moment in particular, it's the only way we can meet other people. I've been on many circular walks around parks, many miles around parks at the moment, meeting up with friends and family. And actually, I think what we can find is that actually we may be engaged in this the sense of connection with others, and maybe we're not so mindful of the nature around us. So we'll do a bit of a reflection practice of how we can bring in more awareness around our senses, our 5 senses. And then we'll also look at how we can come into a space of gratitude as well with nature, in particular our amazing parks, because they are a resource there for us in times of difficulty, in times of challenge. How can we extend that sense of gratitude? So we'll bring that into the practice as well. So very quickly, just to say one word about what is mindfulness. So whether you're meditated or not, I'm sure you'll find something, within these practices to engage with. So mindfulness is being aware in the present moment experience, just as it is, without judgment. So we're being aware of just what's happening. So if I'm aware now, if I'm being mindful in this moment, one of the first things I'll notice is that I'm sat down. And that sounds really obvious. Well, of course I'm sat down, but nearly 50% of our time, we are lost in thought. So we're not really aware. So mindfulness is bringing awareness into what's happening in our body. I can feel the pressure of being sat down, what's happening in our emotions. So what's happening now for me? So a slightly elevated heart rate because I'm here live talking to all of you. And then what's in my mind? I probably got lots of thoughts in my mind. Oh, I hope this session goes well. I hope I don't forget things. But what I'm doing is I'm not judging any of that. There's no judgment. It is just what's occurring. It's what's happening in this moment. So that's what mindfulness is. And also the word mind is in mindfulness. So it's really important to remember we're working with the mind. So mindfulness is not about having no thoughts at all. And actually quite often, people will give up meditation practices. They will stop engaging with mindfulness practices because they say, oh, my mind's just too busy. I'm just thinking too much. But what we're doing is working with the mind. So if you're thinking a lot, that's fine. Bring your awareness back into what the focus is of that moment. So it might be the breath, it might be the body. But anyway, I will lead you through all this, so you don't need to remember any of this at all. So we're going to start off with a grounding practice, first of all. So about 10 minutes, something like that. So everything is an invitation. At any moment you feel like, actually, I don't want to engage in this practice, that's fine. Feel your feet on the ground, open your eyes, come to your breath, that's okay. Everything's invitational. You can do practices sat down in a chair. You can do practices lay down if you wish as well. The key is to make sure you're comfortable enough to be able to sustain a reasonable meditation posture for the duration of the practice. So this one's 10 minutes. So you might like to have a seated position for this one. So if you like to get in your position, and if you are sat down, having your feet contacting the floor, direct contact with the earth is really good for nature connection practices. And having your hand just resting in your lap very gently. Now, there is an invitation to close your eyes if you wish. When we close our eyes, we just come into a deeper contact of what's happening in our experience. But if you don't want to close your eyes, that's fine. Just have a very soft gaze looking downwards. That's okay. So I'm going to close my eyes because it helps me to engage in reading practices. So yeah. Okay. So first of all, coming into the body. So just bringing awareness into the body. However you are positioned for this practice, whether you're sat up or lay down, just become familiar that you have a body. And noticing the points of contact the body's making with what you're sat on or lay on. So you might notice the points of contact of the buttocks and the thighs, maybe a sense of pressure in those areas. You might have a sense of contact with the back of the body, maybe if you're leaning against the back of your chair or the cushion. Or maybe you have a sense of space behind the back if there's no contact with the back of the chair. Bringing awareness into the feet. So if you're sat down, maybe pushing your feet into the earth a little bit, really having that sense of grounding in the feet. Really feeling that connection. So quite often if we're feeling a bit overwhelmed or a bit stressed, or we feel like we're too up in our head, then really having the contact, the feet to the earth can really help us. Coming down into the body can really help. And then coming into the hands, allowing the hands just to rest very naturally in the lap. So quite often we can hold tension in the hands, allowing the hands just to flop out and be natural. Soft fingers, soft palms. And then working through the top of the body, Paying attention to the shoulders, just seeing how the shoulders around your ears, can you drop them down a bit more? Coming into the face, just seeing if there's any tension in the forehead. Allowing the forehead to soften. It's an area we associate with thinking, the forehead, so we can often quite have tension there. We're trying to soften in that area. And then coming down into the jaw. Just see if we're clenching the teeth. Can we allow the jaw to be soft? And then coming to the head. So just see if we can allow the head to balance very naturally on the shoulders. So you might like to move your head from side to side, very small movements, very, very gentle. And then maybe back and forth, very small. All we're doing is just trying to find the natural point of balance where the head naturally rests on the shoulders. So when you've found that point of poise and balance, just see if you can maintain that through the practice. You can always come back to it if your posture moves. And then lastly, a nice straight spine as best we can. So if you sat down, you might like to imagine you have a golden cord running all the way up your spine, through the top of your head, right up into the sky. So really having this sense of elevation upwards to the sky. So just having the sense of sitting with a balance of ease in the body, as well as alertness, because bringing awareness means we need to be aware, awake, alert to what's happening. And then come into the breath. So we use the breath a lot in meditation because it enables us to anchor into the now. So while we're with the breath, we're not so caught up in thoughts. So if it helps, you might like to place your hand on your chest or your belly where you can feel the breath the most, or both. You can put your hands on your chest and your belly, both hands on if you wish. We're just having the felt sense of the breath. That's all we're doing. What's it like to feel the breath in the body, moving the body back and forward? So we don't need to change the breath. We don't breathe in any special way. When we're doing these practices, the body knows how to breathe. So all we're doing, just bringing awareness to the natural breath. Noticing the breath coming in, the breath coming out. That's all we're doing as best we can. If the mind is busy, lost in thought, we bring the awareness back to the breath in the body. Just allowing the breath to soothe us if we can, maybe connecting to this rocking sensation. So as the breath comes in and out, the body rocks very gently back and forth. So just being with this for a moment, just with the breath. So we're coming into the felt sense of the movement of the breath. So we're trying not to think about the breath. What does the breath feel like in the body in this moment? And as we're breathing in this air element, maybe I like to imagine a special relationship that we have with nature around us, this exchange of air between the trees and the plants. Breathing in the air that's emitted, that's generously offered by trees and plants. In exchange, we breathe out the air which is taken in. And this symbiotic relationship, circle of life, our connection with the trees, nature, all around us. So even though we might be inside, we still have a sense of what it's like to breathe in this air. have this sense of a deeper connection to nature and our place in nature. And then resting the hands back on the lap if you've had your hands against the body. Coming back into the body and noticing the shape of the body, maybe adjusting again if you need to straighten your back and balance your head on your shoulders. And coming into the centre of the earth, so the earth holding the body, this vast, vast earth. And just see if we can give up to the earth, give up anything we're holding on to, any tension, any worries. And just see if we can allow those things to drop down through the body, down through the legs, down into the feet, down into the earth. Allowing the earth to hold us, to hold our weight, to hold our worries. Just kind of dropping downwards into the earth. Then expanding awareness outwards from the body into the space that you're in the room that you're in, maybe having a sense of the temperature of the room on your skin. So on your face or your hands. And then extending awareness even further outside of the space you're in. Maybe beyond into the neighborhood. And touching into an awareness of the green spaces that are around you. They might be small green spaces, little pocket parks. It might be big country parks. You might even connect into rural spaces, woodlands, moorland. Just having a sense of this bigger space around you. And expanding out into this space. Quite often we can have this narrow, tight sense of self, tight sense of experience. See if we can broaden out, maybe having a sense of expanding through the chest. Expanding through the sides of the body, the front of the body, the back of the body, expanding outwards to connect with the environment, the environment beyond the space that we're sat in. And just see what that feels like to have this sense of expansion. This broader awareness. And then slowly coming back inwards into the body and just noticing how you're feeling in this moment. Just, a little check-in. How are you doing in this moment? So holding that with kindness, we don't judge how we feel, we're just noticing. Just allowing those feelings, emotions to be there. This kind friendliness towards ourselves. And then coming back into the body, noticing the points of contact the body's making, what you're sat on or lay on. The points of pressure. Connecting with the breath. And then very gently wiggling your fingers and your toes to get some movement in the body. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. Oh. Okay. So I hope everybody's okay. So there you go, a little frog in my throat at the moment. There we go. So I hope you feel a little bit more perhaps grounded, a little bit more aware of how you're feeling, having a broader sense of awareness of where you are in your space and the space around you. Maybe having a sense of connecting a little bit deeper into the earth element, the earth under the feet, having a connection with the air element, so the air that we're breathing in and the relationship that we have with the trees as well. Okay. So we have got maybe just a couple of minutes. If anybody wanted to share what that practice was like, we could do that. If you wanted to unmute yourself, maybe just share a few words. It's always nice to hear from people.
Claire, just to let you know that I'm giving people the permission to unmute themselves now. So if you do want to say something, you can. You're all still on mute, but you're able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, maybe about how do you feel now? Do you maybe feel different than when you first started the practice?
I think if it's okay, I want to say my experience about it. I found that actually when you mentioned about thinking about the different parks and, just sort of like building up this world, I felt, I just felt really like connected to the outer world. So that was great.
Yeah. Thanks, Carly. Yeah, it's quite interesting. When I do practices, I do them myself. So I had a real sense of that, actually, that sense of moving outwards. And I really had in awareness everybody that's here and everyone that's on Facebook, and having that sense of where all you might be and all the different places that you might be occupying in terms of your, where these beautiful green spaces are. So yeah, it felt for me a very connecting practice as well, actually, to connect with where everybody is.
Oh, and I've just seen we've had a comment here. Thanks. That was a moment of calm in a busy morning. So thank you so much for coming. Thanks. And Karen says it's helped her mind feel more peaceful and appreciative of the green spaces and around me. And she's going to look forward to a walk later outside.
Wonderful. That's great. Yes. Okay. Thank you for those comments. So we're going to go into another practice now. So we're going to, this is a bit more of a reflection practice. So you will need to kind of engage a little bit of imagination, but not too much. It will become clear when I read it. But what I would say, don't get too bogged down with the detail, is what I'd say. Quite often when we come into visualization reflection practices, we can have this sense we have to really go into detail. But what happens when we go into, instead of trying to get the detail right, we go into the head space. But what we're trying to do is come into the heart space. We're trying to come into the felt experience rather than trying to visualize exactly what a tree looks like. So just, a little tip really for this practice. Okay, so if you want to make yourself comfortable, I'm just going to get another drink and clear my throat. And then I'm going to read you a poem as well. So get yourself comfortable, whether you want to sit down, lie down, make sure you've got a blanket, cushions, whatever you need within this moment. So we're going to be doing this practice probably about 15 minutes, something like that. So yeah, just making sure you've got what you need. Okay, so if you're happy to close your eyes, you can do, or just have a very soft gaze looking downwards. I'll just give you a moment to settle, and then I'll read you a poem. So this is the poem by David Wagner, and it's called Lost. Stand still. The trees before you and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is a place called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest grieves. Listen. It answers, I had made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. Okay, so settling into your postures. Again, having that sense of alertness in the body, the sense of being upright in the body as best you can. And imagining maybe the sense of expansion from the spine all the way up to the sky. And maybe from the base of the spine connecting down into the earth. So it's real connection with above and below. Connecting with the breath, allowing the breath just to breathe naturally. And as we did before, you might like to place your hand on your chest or your belly, just have this sense of the felt sense of the breath. Just helps maybe to feel the movement of the breath in the body. And allowing any thoughts that might come in to be there, but try not to get too caught up in the narrative. It's okay, thoughts can be there, but we don't need to engage with them. Come into the breath in the body, the feet having contact with the earth. Or if you lay down, feeling the points of contact, maybe the side of the feet, the back of the heels. And settling into the practice. So I'd like you to bring into your awareness, as best you can, again, you don't need to have lots of detail, your favourite park. So you might have quite a few favourite parks or favourite woodlands, green spaces. Just see if you can settle on one. I'd like to bring our awareness to one place. So this is maybe somewhere you've spent a lot of time, you go there on a regular basis. Maybe it's somewhere you've only been to once, but somewhere that really calls to you, that means something to you, that's maybe touched you in a way. Somewhere that feels special. So just bring into awareness this place. And while you do this, also acknowledge that everybody else in the Zoom or on Facebook who's taking part will have their own favourite place too. And how wonderful that is, that connection we've all got to somewhere in nature. So when you have this place in awareness, I'd like you to find a tree to sit under. As you sit under the tree, you might like to take your shoes off and feel your feet on the ground. So having this real sense of connection with the earth, sat under this beautiful tree in your special place, your favourite park, green space, woodland. So we're going to engage our sense of touch. So being mindful in nature is really being aware of the felt sense in terms of touch. So what does it feel like if we have our feet on the earth? What does it feel like to extend our hand down on the earth? What can we feel? There's a sense of coolness, It might be damp, it might be dry. Just really connecting, what does it feel like? So we will need to use our imagination, but we'll also know this already. We will have experienced this. So going into the felt sense, what does it feel like to have our body directly on the earth? So just noticing what comes up for you. Maybe you'd like to pick something up off the ground, move it around in your hand. What are you investigating? What's here to be felt? Just really paying attention to that as best you can. Again, remember, you don't need the detail, it's the felt sense. This hands-on connection with nature, what does it feel like? To feel so close. And then you may wish to then engage a wider view. So engage in the sense of sight. What can you see? Maybe starting with a landscape view, so a broad view. What's around you? What can you take in from the landscape around you? What's here? What's to be seen? So really just trying to have a sense of this. The colours, the shapes. Maybe there's other people present, maybe you're here on your own. Just noticing what's here, what can you see? Really breathing that in. Really having a sense of this deeper connection by engaging in what you can see within the landscape. And then what can you smell? So you probably really need to use your imagination for this. We will have a sense, even if you don't pick up on smells very strongly. It all depends what our sense of smell is like, but also we can all imagine what it feels like to be in nature, what the smells around you. And they might change in the seasons as well. So it depends which season you're in, will have a particular smell. Depends whether it's raining in your special place, or depends if the sun's out. All of these things will really affect the smell of a place. So really see if you can connect with that as best you can. Really taking pleasure in paying attention to these experiences that you might have had many times before. And then lying back. So taking a lie down, so lying down underneath this beautiful tree. So really taking in the tree now. You might have a sense of the trunk of the tree. What does that look like? And the shape, the colours, the textures, the tones. Travelling upwards, you're taking in the branches, the leaves, maybe no leaves, depending on what season you're in. So really having a sense of all the shapes, the branches are making, the canopy above. And just see, maybe you can see the sky through the canopy, perhaps, maybe not. Having this as this broader awareness of looking upwards, changing the perspective. We quite often have our perspective is looking forward. What's it like to look up, to look above? To take in this nature connection in a different way, a bigger, expansive view. Being aware of the sky above, the infinite, vast sky, infinite space of possibility above us. And you might notice movement within the tree. Maybe there's movement from the wind. Maybe there's movement because there's animals, there's birds moving around in the tree. Maybe noticing that actually there's lots of life. And you can only really notice this if you, as a poem says, stand still. Be still, notice what's here. You seem to take enjoyment in that. And then coming into what can you hear? What can you hear in this space? And depending where you are, you might have a mixture of natural sounds, maybe bird sound, singing of the birds in the trees. You might hear the wind in the trees. You might hear very close to your ear on the ground, animals moving around on the ground, going about their business. Just really have a sense of what can you hear. And you might hear urban sounds as well. So you might hear other people maybe talking. Maybe they're walking the dogs, you can hear the dogs barking. You might hear children playing. You might hear traffic in the background. And just see if we can bring the equal awareness and attention and interest to all the sounds. Quite often our parks are in urban areas, so we don't want to block out these sounds. They're part of our experience. It's okay that they're there. It means other people are enjoying the space too. And how wonderful is that? And then gently sitting upwards from your space under the tree and slowly standing up, maybe putting your shoes back on if you wish, or keeping them off, and having a little walk around the space. Just having a little bit of an explore, what else you can notice here, using the sense of sight, smell, sound, touch. And maybe taste. You might be able to taste the air. What does the air taste like in that space? Really having this sense of engaging curiosity. Maybe a playfulness as well, like a child. The way a child engages in nature is this beginner's mind. A sense of really exploring through curiosity. And then turning round to face the tree you were sat under. Maybe having an expanse, taking the whole tree in. And extending a sense of gratitude. Not just for this particular tree, but for all the trees. This gratitude for the interconnection we have, this dependency on each other to stay alive, to thrive. Gratitude for the beauty of trees, for the shelter of trees when it rains. The gratitude for trees being the home for many animals. It's looking after our soils. And just our own personal gratitude for what trees mean for us. Really offering that up. And then we're going to very slowly end this practice. So just coming into how you're feeling in this moment. Anything you're connected into. Anything you noticed. And just see if you can take any sense of a deeper connection with nature, or a deeper connection with yourself. Or maybe a sense of more calm. Whatever you experience within this practice, which feels of benefit, see if you can take that into the rest of your day. And the next time you go for a walk in a park or a green space, just see if you really engage with all your senses as best you can. In the amazement and wonder and awe of nature. And then come into the body, however you're sat or lay down for this practice, noticing the points of contact the body's making. Your feet touching the earth, your hands in your lap. And just wiggling your fingers and your toes very gently. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. So thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that session as much as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed that session, actually. It's such a treat to be able to, even be inside, really engage with nature, because we've all, we are nature, aren't we? We've been there, so we kind of come into that sense of just being still, just for this time. And it's an act of self-care as well, actually taking this time for ourselves, and then we can extend that out as well when we're in nature. So yes, so thank you all of you for taking part.
Thank you very much, Claire. We've had some comments on Facebook as well, people saying that they really loved the kind of feeling of the exchange of air between us and nature, that being a really, really lovely thought, as well as other people sort of mentioning their favourite parks. So Longford Park came up there. I really enjoyed the last session as well, especially kind of the sensory side of things, like what does the air smell like? And I was thinking myself of Drinkwater Park, which I was in the other day, and it's a lovely space. It was a lovely memory, and it's great that you can just go there whenever you want. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Thanks for the reminder, Kelly. Yeah, you can go there anytime you like. All you need is take a moment, come into that memory space, engage your senses, and you're there.
Oh, that's fab. And we've had a lot of people saying thank you so much in the chat as well. So is there anything that we could maybe take with us into the weekend, like a thought? Because I think this is such a great way to start the weekend off sort of mindfully.
Yeah, definitely. I think, using all our senses, I think what can tend to happen, and when we get into a bit more of a habitual space, when we go in nature, we go around parks, we know where we're going to go, we know where we're going to walk, so we go from A to B. So what would it be like? To me, we go slower, walk a lot slower, really take in what do things look like, what do things smell like, and stop as well. Stop to pick things up. If you see like a leaf on the ground, engage that. They said beginner's mind, the curiosity of a child is amazing. We forget how to do that as adults.
Yeah.
So yeah, engaging.
Oh, that's fab. Because when you said stop to pick things up, I was thinking actually I haven't done that since I was a kid. Yeah, that's fab. I live near Heaton Park, so I think this lunchtime I'm going to go and pick up leaves and really look at the trees, and that's lovely. And we've just had a few more comments in the chat here. Alison says that when she was laying on the floor in her lounge under the window, she was able to look up at the tree in the garden outside and connect with the tree through each glass panel, which showed different aspects of the tree, and she felt quite calm. So that's really lovely.
Yeah.
And Kathy says thank you. She really enjoyed that session. Anne as well says thank you so much, ready for the day ahead, and she wished she could stay under that tree for the rest of the day. Love that.
Yes.
And Sarah says even looking at the window at nature can help us feel more relaxed and connected to the world outside. That's so true.
Yeah, it really can. That's it. Just in the window with a cup of tea or something, and I like looking out. It can things in movement as well. Actually, it's really beautiful to look out what's in movement and just focus on that. That can be a real mindfulness activity as well.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much, Claire. And thank you everyone for coming along this morning to take part. What a great way to celebrate Greater Manchester's trees. And I know I myself will be out in one of the Greater Manchester parks later today. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. And yeah, if you're more interested in Greater Manchester Tree Month, we're in week 3 at the moment, Love Park. So if you are out in nature and you do take a really nice picture of a leaf, you see a nice leaf, do take a picture, tag us in it, use the hashtag GM Tree Month. We'd love to see that, especially at the moment with the changing colours. It's really beautiful. So thank you so much. And we've got some information on our fundraising around GM Tree Month as well on our website. And Sarah's popped a donate link in the chat as well, if that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, we although we can't see you physically at the moment with our public planting sessions, we really hope that you'll get out into the parks and just really enjoy it. So yeah, thanks so much, Claire. That's been amazing.
Oh, thank you. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, take care, everybody. Go.